my name is Serena Lewis, and this is my BookTube newbie tag. And I'm really excited to get started. I really like this trend, and I just figured why not reintroduce myself / introduce myself back on BookTube. So yeah, real quick, my name is Serena Lewis. I'm 24 years old, and I used to be a hardcore reader when I was younger. Then throughout school, became a casual reader. Throughout the pandemic, became a hardcore reader again. I've been watching some of the videos for this trend, and so I just kind of took down some of their questions and also added a couple of new ones for myself, just so that way you get to know me better. So we can just get started with the first one. This is honestly one of the hardest questions, and that is, what is unique about this channel? Everyone's channel really is unique on YouTube, so I feel like for me, it's just giving you a slice of how I see things and just how my life is really, and how books make it better, or how I interact with books, and really just for me to connect with people who may like the same books that I do, or it's up to a friendly debate of the books that I may like that they might not like, and vice versa. Another thing that I think that makes it unique is the fact that I really just like to read, honestly. And I feel like I used to talk to my family members, I used to talk to my boyfriend about books, so much to the point where I figured it's kind of limiting myself to people who do read, but not of the same, I don't want to say caliber, because that sounds kind of pretentious, but of like the same genres that I do. So why not let myself be out there and show myself to other people and really make some new friends? So I think that's what's unique about this channel. I think I'm more of a casual reader turning to a hardcore reader. So I feel like that's a good way to document really my 20s. Third question, when did I start reading? So for me, I would have to say, I can't really remember the age, but I remember like the kind of the how. So my grandma on my mom's side, she was very studious, and she didn't really believe in having a whole summer, being lazy, basically letting your brain rot. So what she would do for me and my sisters and my cousin, we would have to go to Barnes & Noble's and pick a book out and read it for the entire summer, and give her basically her book report at the end. So yeah, I think that's where it started for me. For a good portion of that time, whenever I was with her for the summer, I was a Magic Treehouse girly. So that was basically where I started my love for reading. At first, I was just reading just to get to that picture page as kind of like a reward system for me, but I actually got really into the storyline. I don't remember where I stopped. I think I stopped in the, what's it called? That place? Camelot, I think. I think that's when they started going to the King Arthur stage or whatever, but I got pretty far into that series. And basically every summer, whenever we visit her, we would go to Barnes & Noble's and just pick up a book. And fun fact, my sisters actually didn't like reading, so what I used to do with them was I would discreetly tell them what book I want, and they'll pick it up, and then my mate will be like, okay, buys the book. And then as soon as her back is turned, I get like 3 books in one. So yeah, so that was a good way to to get 3 books in one day, basically. Yeah, and then after that, I really just, like I said, started reading. Everywhere I go, I had a book in my bag. One Christmas, I got the Nook, which, quick hot take, I think the Nook was one of the best reading tablets out there, especially the old one, because it was colored, and you can borrow books or send books to people. So I do think the Nook, that type of Nook, I forgot what it's called, I think the Nook Color, I think that tablet needs to come back, because I would definitely buy that in a heartbeat over the Kindle. But yeah, anywho, but yeah, every summer I basically was reading books, and the pandemic quickly got me back into reading. I was gifted the Michelle Obama biography, Becoming, and that's kind of what sparked it up for me. So I think 2020, I gave myself a goal of reading 5 books a year, and I read 6. The next year after that, I gave myself a goal of 10 books, and then I ended up reading like 20 books. So after that, I was like, okay, all right, let's really challenge myself and push myself to read more books this year. So yeah. Yeah, I know that was a bit all over the place, but as you can see, reading was a big part of my life. Oh, this is the part that I added for myself, for you to get to know me. One of my favorite memories of reading was, again, my Mimi. She tends to travel a lot because her husband's part of the Navy. So years ago, they were stationed in Norfolk, Virginia, and they had this really beautiful townhouse, and there's like a pier and a gazebo out in like the lake area. So me, my sister, and my cousin would actually wake up like at 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, get dressed, grab our books. This was years afterwards, so they were starting to get into it, but not as much as me. And we would just kind of go out in the gazebo and just read as the sun was rising up. So yeah, that's honestly one of my most treasured memories with them, and reading too. So yeah, that's probably one of my favorite memories. Recently, I actually got my boyfriend into reading too. So sometimes we'll go on little reading dates, either at a coffee shop or maybe like a cafe or even at bars. So I just really like just spending time with the people I love and just reading. Next question, challenges I'll have to face on this channel. So I would definitely say my social anxiety would be an obstacle that I have to face. Not necessarily of me being scared to post on social media. It's just more of this perfectionist mentality where I don't want to offend anybody, or if I stutter or if I mispronounce a word, which I'll be doing a lot in not only this video but throughout this channel. I'll probably just put the correct saying or the correct word I'm trying to say somewhere on the screen, honestly. But I think this is a good way for me to get over that fear and a little bit of exposure therapy. So I think that's one challenge I'll probably face. Another one is consistency too. I feel like if I'm not in the mood to record, I won't record. And there's nothing wrong with it. But I feel like maybe just from the way that I look sometimes to just how I personally feel, I feel like that can cause me to isolate myself a bit. And that's not necessarily good, not just, for my mental health, but also for the things I said I want to do and how I want to interact with people. So I do want to hold myself more accountable with that, because I have tons and tons of ideas and I do want to hold myself accountable and show myself out there. Where do I like to read? So honestly, anywhere. A good bookstore, coffee shop, cafe, Barnes and Nobles. Honestly, if there's like a little comfy area, I don't mind. In my apartment, I like to read on the couch, put on some little lo-fi, or depending on like my genre of the book, I try to find like maybe the ambiance vibe to it. I can kind of get into a playlist for the book if like that's provided, but I don't know, I think maybe more instrumental just so that way I can focus is nice. And then even like, just chair too. I recently got this, so this will be a good reading area too. I don't typically read on my bed just because I get tired and I usually doze off, so I really want to like give my full attention to the book. Next question, what are my favorite genres / tropes? So first off, I am a proud Christian, so I am getting more into Christian books. I have books from my pastor. I have Christian romances. I'm about to get on the Francine Rivers train. I really want to find more Christian novels. I've been following this one Christian author. I'll put her name I'll link it below in the description, or I'll just put it somewhere on the screen. But she has been doing a really good job sending out recs, especially like sci-fi Christian novels. So I think that's really interesting. And honestly, I want to find more books that are underrated, but not too hyped up from TikToks. But sometimes TikTok does do a good job of hyping up a book. It's just, it's kind of picking, it's a hit and miss, honestly. Other than the Christian genre, I am open to mostly any books. Self-help books are the books that I read the slowest on, though. I think it's just because the fact that I get so motivated reading a chapter and then I apply it to my life and I'm like, great, this is going great. And then when I get back to the book, I'm like, oh, right, I only read like one chapter. So I still need to read and apply it some more and stick with it. Quick confession, I'm still on Atomic Habits. I think I only read 1 or 2 chapters at this point, but this is a good reminder for me to get back into it. So as for favorite tropes, I guess the general sense, I do like a good enemies to lovers. I feel like underneath that umbrella is, fake dating. I like marriage of convenience. Basically, I like it where there's like a lot of tension and then, there's reason why these characters don't like each other, or reasons that they think they don't like each other, and then it gets revealed they actually do care for each other, and then, they become lovers. It's a predictable, but it's a good storyline for me. It's always like a good reliable for me. I do feel like with TikTok, it's becoming a get rich quick not scheme, but trope. So I feel like some authors are using it and they're not using it correctly though. They're using it like, okay, you got 2 middle school kids in like suburbia and they're enemies to lovers. Okay, why are they enemies to lovers? Because they had like a bad interaction one time, or the academic rivals. I feel like it's really about marketing and making sure it's actually accurate too. Whereas if it's a fantasy land and there are two different kingdoms, I feel like that's a little bit better. Another thing when it comes to labeling enemies to lovers is also the transition from enemies to lovers. Some authors do it too quickly to the point where you don't really think they're enemies in the first place. Or some people do it not as smooth of a transition, so you still feel like they're enemies. So it's really, I don't know, it's really hit and miss, so I'm getting very picky about that. But the other mini tropes like who hurt you or the where is my wife, line, like that's always a good one for me. So you can't really go wrong with that. Now, my least favorite tropes, first thing, honestly, would have to be friends to lovers. I've read People We Met on Vacation by Emily Henry, and it was okay. I prefer Beach Read, honestly. I still haven't read Book Lovers or Happy Place, so those will be dealt with hopefully this year. But with People We Meet on Vacation, I like the idea of the storyline. I feel like her writing is really good. For me, personally, it takes me like 40 to 50 pages to get into it. But once I'm into it, it's just, smooth sailing. So I'm good. It's just, once they revealed the whole like rift between them or the reason why they stopped talking after all those years, it was a bit underwhelming. I was kind of like, okay, I mean, I guess that makes sense, or I guess I have to take it because I read this far. So I don't know. I just feel like when it comes to that, or not even with that book, but with that type of trope of they used to be friends, now they're enemies, but they're actually more of strangers, I just feel like it hasn't been done or executed correctly. Or not even correctly, like, let me not be too harsh. I feel like when it comes to that, the friends to lovers or friends to strangers to lovers, if you will, I feel like it's not executed well, in my opinion. Now, another reason why I do not like friends to lovers is I do watch anime and a little bit of K-drama, and some slice of life or romance or even drama animes. The main character has like this childhood best friend, and the childhood best friend would be very standoffish with them. And you're kind of like, okay, that's just the whole like Naruto and Sasuke vibe or something like that, like the friend like dynamic. And then once the main character meets their love interest, and then especially when they start dating, that's when the best friend wants to say something or speak up and be like, oh, I have loved you all this time. How could you not tell? And I'm just like, no, you've been rude this entire time. How can you not tell? So it's so cliche at this point. I feel like watching like maybe 12 to 16 episodes of that, it gets tiring, and the last thing I need is to see that written in a book. So yeah, I do know there's a really, really hyped up TikTok book. I think this was like last year or 2 years ago. A lot of the booktubers or the book influencers I've been like watching or I follow, they keep recommending this book and they keep giving it 5 stars. So I do want to read this book, maybe this year, maybe during the summer, who knows. But I do want to read this book this year, and I do want to see if that changed my mind. Because the next trope that I don't necessarily like, it used to be my least favorite, but right now, friends to lovers down here, this one's like right up here, second chance romances. I feel like there's no reason you should have a second chance romance, personally. That person is your ex for a reason. So like, why put yourself through that pain again and be reminded of that pain? I feel like it can just go many ways, personally. I feel like either A, one of them can't let it go of what the other person did. B, it's great for a minute and then something happens, like the miscommunication trope too. Yeah, but side note. But I don't know, I just feel like it's the perfect epitome of second chance romance to me. It's like that one drunk girl in the bathroom at a club, and she's like crying her eyes out or just like happy, and she's like, guys, I'm gonna text my ex back. And, everyone freezes, like, no! And they're, like, reaching over, grabbing her. That's how I feel with second chance romance. Like, I feel like a good portion of the book would be gone if they don't interact anymore. But, I know that's really harsh. That's just truly how I feel, though. But I feel like a good exception to that was last year. My mind got a little bit changed, or I saw a new light, or a new perspective, I guess, from, what was the book called? Final Offer by Lauren Asher. That book was a second chance romance. And honestly, that was well done. It was a very long book, but it made sense. It was the last book in the series. And I feel like it showed the development of the character, especially from the character who needed to grow up a little bit, or not even grow up, but who needed to develop more. I feel like if it has a good character development within that trope, I think I'm open to that. Now, my harsh no still, and the main reason why I'm not really a big fan of second chance romance, is if someone cheated in the relationship. That's just stupid to me. Like, I feel like there's no reason you should get back to that person because they cheated. And there's not even a good reason why they cheated. That's the thing, though, too. But I feel like somewhere there's a book out there that has a cheating trope, and the person has a good reason why they cheated. And I just won't have it. I won't have it. No, I just can't. And speaking of cheating trope, yeah, absolutely not. I feel like there's two ways that's usually done. One way is the main character gets cheated on, and that pushes them to have their own like self-love journey or whatever, and that's kind of fine. Like, I guess, you know, that's realistic to some degree. Like, I feel like some people go through that. I feel like, though, sometimes it's used to push the main character to the other love interest, if there's like a love triangle, though. So that's why I'm like, that's where I'm not really having the appeal for it. Or, and this is the one that annoys me the most, is when the main character cheats on their initial partner for the love interest that they met in the book. That's stupid to me. Just be an adult about it, break up with them, and then chase off your love interest or whatever. I don't care. So I just feel like there's a lot of unnecessary drama with that. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like that just gives me a headache personally. Another question is, what is my favorite author or favorite book? So honestly, I don't have a favorite book or a favorite author. I feel like personally for me, when people say that, it's like they're talking about their like 5-star, 6-star, or like forever, like Library of Fame or Hallway of Fame of books. And I don't know. I feel like some people, they say they can reread it over and over again. I don't typically like to reread or rewatch things. I like to just reread the section I like. I don't think I have a favorite book or a favorite author, but I do have books that I really, really like or that are really close to me by memory. And what I think I'm going to start developing this year personally is a auto-buy author. I know those are starting to come in. And the very first person that's on my auto-buy author, none other than the Miss Kennedy Ryan herself. Like, and then the funny thing is I only read one of her books. That's honestly not even the craziest thing. That's just how good she is. It's just funny to me though, because I only read her book Real, and I just got more information about her second book Score, and then a third book. So yeah, she's absolutely on my auto buy. And then while I'm waiting for those books to release, I can read Before I Let Go. I can read This Could Be Us. And then the Hook series, or is it called the Hook series? I think it's the Hoop series. It's the basketball series. And then there's the Kingmaker series. So I'll be pretty occupied for the rest of this year and a bit of next year. So Kennedy, you're good. You're good. Trust me. So yeah. Another auto-buy author, I would have to say Miss Anna Hong, honestly. I feel like her writing is so easy to get into. And I've read the Twisted series, and I read the King of Sin series as well. And I have my favorites, and I have my least favorites. That's all I'm going to say. I think what I'll do maybe next month is release a video about more of her series, because this one is that series is so well done, and I personally feel like it should be a TV show or movie at this point. And I think that's what I'm going to talk about too next month. It's just which books should be movies and which books should be TV shows, and then like why I like whoever I like. So yeah, but I digress. So those are my two auto-buy authors right now. I'm sure I have more right now. Maybe Lauren Asher. I think I have to read more of her series though, just to make sure. But those are the top 3 that I can think of right now. And then as for favorite books, again, I don't think I have a favorite book, but ones that stuck out with me right now, I recently finished the book Mame by Jessica George. That one, like, I don't want to say like I just felt pain, but I did, but in a good way. I felt seen, I felt recognized, and I relate so much to her character, Maddie. And that's a book that's definitely going to stick with me for a good minute. Last thing to wrap up my getting to know me part is my other interests. Once again, I talked about how I watch anime and K-dramas. I currently finished up the Alabasta arc in One Piece, or I like to call it the Alabastard arc because of Vivi. nothing wrong with her character. It's just she has this thing of repeating information that's already redundant. And that's really quickly becoming a pet peeve of mine when it comes to anime characters. So yeah, that was slowing me down a lot. So I finally got out of that arc though. So I'm excited to see what else is out there. The Apothecary Diaries. I want to watch that. I've been waiting for it to complete first because I heard it was a bit of mystery, and I used to watch things like week by week, and I still kind of do, but I don't think I will appreciate it in that type of anime. So I just want to watch everything in one go. No questions, no waiting a week to find out the answers. I'll be happy. So yeah, definitely a big Spy Family fan too. Another thing that I'm getting back into is writing. I used to write poetry in high school and a little bit of college, but now I mostly do journaling. I feel like the most recent book I finished, Yellowface by R.F. Khan. I apologize if I pronounced that wrong. It really got me motivated to like start writing. So I want to get back into that, but instead of just doing journaling like I usually do, I want to start looking up like mini writing prompts and just trying that out. Because I feel like anyone can really write. It's just, what are you passionate about, or what are you trying to get out there? And I recently got back into cooking too. I got 2 cookbooks, so that's going to be pretty fun, trying out different recipes. That kind of ties into my next skill set that I really like to do, which is learning. I feel like throughout school, I love learning. I love the new topics we get. It's just sometimes the stress that happens with it, you know, with testing, or just, you know, how people are with their classes. I feel like that's kind of what brings it down a bit, but I do like learning a lot. And then another thing that I picked up during the pandemic was video games. So my boyfriend actually taught me how to play COD. I want to say right before the pandemic hit. And I actually built up my PC, I want to say last year. Yeah, I built up my PC last year. And so far I've been playing COD, I've been playing Monster Hunter World, and I recently got Baldur's Gate. So I need to sit down and play that one though, because the first time I opened it up, I thought I played it for maybe 2.5 hours. No, it was 4 hours. So yeah, that's a dangerous game to play, but I do want to get back into that too. So yeah, and then lastly, I love to travel. So quick fun fact, I was born in Rota, Spain. That was because my dad was in the Navy though, but we did a lot of traveling in the US. We lived in Iceland for about a year or so. And then before I moved back to America, I lived in Japan for about maybe a year and a half. So yeah, and then I did some traveling to Italy, Sicily, and Greece in high school. So that was pretty fun. And then my last international trip was, I want to say, Mexico. So yeah, I do want to get back into that, maybe for like as a leisure thing, or just, you know, go vacationing. I think that'll be pretty fun. One last thing that the newbie tag is about too is showing my book collection. So I actually have 2 bookshelves right now. And then I have, I think, a couple other places where I put books at. So I'll show you the bookshelves first, and then I'll show you wherever I stuff books at too. So let's go. So this is the bookshelf that's been part of the video. So this is my manga bookshelf. So I kind of just start off with fantasy, and then like mostly romances, and then also my graphic novels off to the side right over here. I'm gonna try not to affect the focal point. Then at the second shelf, I have my Demon Slayer manga. Fun fact, that's actually the first manga I ever completed. I did it online, and then I decided to treat myself with the hardcover, or not hardcover, the paperback copy. So yeah, and then on this side, these are my boyfriend's manga. He's into Jujutsu Kaisen. He's also into Berserk. That is not mine. So yeah, but this little small corner over here is mine too, with Perfect World and Full Metal Alchemist. Oh, and then the Chainsaw Man and Attack on Titan, those are also his. So yeah, that's bookshelf number 1. Next, we have my Spy Family collection. I have 1 through 10. I actually recently finished 10 not so long ago, so I actually need to go to Barnes or Books A Million and pick up 11. So yeah, they're just right here on the living room, so whenever people come by, sometimes they ask about them, and sometimes they don't. So yeah, it's just a nice little focal point over there on the TV stand. All right, and then here is the main bookshelf. This was gifted to me by my boyfriend. Let me know if you guys want me to do a more in-depth bookshelf tour. Yeah, a bookshelf tour, and I can go over through each book I have, which one's on my TBR, which I've already read. So yeah, but that's basically it, you guys. Thank you for watching my video. I really appreciate it. Please like, subscribe, and comment below what's your favorite genres, I guess. I think that's a good way to start off this channel. So yeah, thank you so much, and you guys take care. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.